Adam, when you're ready, please.
Daniel, congratulations again.
Thank you.
In a different way, as hard fought as the weekend game against Preston, would you say?
Yes, I agree. Obviously, credit goes first of all to Norwich. I think they were definitely one of the best sides that have played here at Elland Road during this season. I expected a complicated game anyway. First of all, because Norwich is a really good side. I knew that they are also coming on the back of back-to-back wins, unbeaten in January, 5 games unbeaten, 3 wins on the spin. And they would come here also to play with freedom. They had nothing to lose because no one really expected that they would win points here at Elland Road. And they have many technical players, many good individuals, and they played brave. And even if they went 1 goal down, they kept going in terms of playing. That was, of course, complicated. Second, the quick turnaround. Yes, I played it a bit down also in my press conference before, but I, of course, have it in my head that January is also a pretty busy month and they had 1 more day to recover. Then, at the moment, the numbers in our squad are not too big. We had to play today without Willy Gnonto, Pascal Struijk. Then during the game, Daniel James, Archie Gray had to substitute them with some injuries. So it was a really complicated game. And for that, I'm more than happy that we won this game, 3 points. Another clean sheet. 5 games so far during January, 4 clean sheets. We just have conceded 1 goal, have scored many goals. So I'm pretty pleased with this. I think it was a game of different spells. So we had a few problems also to handle their possession when they were pushing us back. So the same for them. We created the better chances. So for that, I think, and we scored a fantastic goal. I think in the end it was definitely a deserved win, but we also had to accept their quality and also that they had their possession spells. I think in this moment it was important that we didn't allow them to have chances. So in the second half especially, not many chances. In the first half I think there was 1 big chance close to the halftime whistle. But if you don't score the second goal, and we had chances, Jaden Anthony, Patrick Bamford, to score the second goal, you have to keep going and to fight till the end and to defend without any mistakes. And it's also one of the best set-piece sides with Duffy, with Sargent, with Barnes, with McLean, with Ida. It's so difficult also to defend all their wide area free kicks and corner kicks. I think we didn't allow them to create chances out of this situation. So in the end, like you mentioned, a hard fought, but I think also a well-deserved win. And I'm pretty happy tonight.
It was a great goal, but how much pleasure do you derive from what Archie Gray did towards the end of the game to stop what looked like could be a certain goal for them?
Yes, Archie is brilliant so far. Everyone praises him, so for that he doesn't need too much praise from my side because he has to keep going. But obviously, the biggest threat in the second half was the situation when we lost the ball after a set piece for us because we slipped away and it was a great counter attack for them and Archie recovered the ball in a perfect way. He's so mature in the way how he approaches the game, and also his physicality for a 17-year-old guy is fantastic. And of course, it was also a crucial moment. So Ilan Meslier didn't have many saves to make, especially not in the second half, just due to the good work of the players in front of him. I think again also Joe Roden and Ethan Ampadu were excellent again in the last row. Also Ilya Gruev, then lots of defensive work. I think this was especially a win of mentality and also defensive steel, and I'm pretty happy with this.
Daniel, but what cost has this victory come? Because there was a few injuries out there. Have you got any sort of prognosis now as to what's happened to some of those players?
No, Daniel James sadly had to substitute him because close to the halftime whistle he slipped a bit away and overstretched his hip flexor adductor. I think it's a little strain. I hope it's not too bad. So I think he will definitely be out for the FA Cup game for the weekend. But I hope then he can return pretty soon back to training because we need him. He's in brilliant shape and doesn't look too bad. With Archie Gray in the beginning, if I'm honest, I was concerned because he got a hit against his knee and he overstretched it and he was panicking a little bit and was fearing something with the ligament and had to limp off. After the first assessment, I'm carefully optimistic, so it seems like ACL ligaments, everything's okay. It was more or less just a hit and he overstretched it. So at the moment it looks good. So Yes, we have to wait right now for further assessment, but I'm carefully optimistic that it's not a long-term injury. And yes, would be crucial and also important if there is no long-term injury with him, because we definitely need him.
Right.
What changed in the second half to allow you to get back into some level of control after that long spell?
I think our awareness that we need to win this game today was being good in possession, because we wanted in the first minute score the second goal. We're pretty greedy to finish this game, and went always after winning of the ball, always for the transition moment, and lost the ball. And then for that, Norwich is too good and too brave and too confident at the moment at the ball. And then for that, they pushed us for 50 minutes back into our half. Yes, without creating chances, to be fair, but we had to invest a lot against the ball. And it was then that we sensed and also gave the message, no, when we are in possession, we have to make sure that we do the same, that we keep the ball a bit better, that we are tidier in our passes and not too greedy to create always a big chance. It was important also to recover a bit in possession and push them back as well. And I think there was a spell of 50 minutes when they were quite dominant, but after that we had also many spells when we pushed them back into their own half and created also big chances with Jayden Anthony. I think the first touch is a bit better. He could score. Patrick Bamford with his left foot should have scored perhaps as well. I think it was key to be better in possession than in the second half of the second half.
Given how unusual it is to see your team without the ball for so long, were you impressed with their composure and the fact that they didn't panic?
Of my team?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Because sometimes it's also important that you control the game even without the ball. This is obviously for our approach. I didn't like that much when the opponent has got the ball, but sometimes you also have to accept the rhythm of the game and also the quality of the opponent, and then you have to make sure that you show some steel and you have to dig in and you are compact and also allow them perhaps even a bit more possession around the halfway line and but not in the area where they can really cause us problems and create chances. That's what we did in this first 50 minutes. It was also important that we didn't allow them to have too many corners and wide area free kicks, because it's so difficult, especially with our group of players, because we have not the most physical and not the tallest players, and then to handle all their threats with Duffy, with Gibson, with Barnes, with Sargent, with Ida, McLean. It was important that we were sitting then in the moment deeper, but didn't allow them to come into areas on the pitch when they could create chances or could create set pieces, and this was also quite crucial. And I think also it was a quite mature performance, I have to say.
Joe has always been a very assertive, commanding defender, even when the team's not particularly tested, because you've been so dominant in recent games. But today, it felt you really needed him to be there with that authority at the back.
Yes, absolutely. I think the pair of him and Eason was again brilliant. But overall, we need to show some steel. Also in this area, and this time during the game, it was also important that Jayden Anthony and Chris Summerville walked back and worked back in order to help on the wings, to not allow crosses into dangerous positions. So I think it was important for the whole team to show this defensive solidity, and overall we've proven and shown this more or less in each and every game during January so far. Just one goal in the last 5 games. I'm pretty pleased with our defensive solidity at the moment.
When we spoke to you after West Brom, I think we were all feeling a bit low about how things were going at that point. But what do you put down this reaction to win 5 on the bounce? You haven't won 4 on the bounce in the league before today. I mean, this is the best run you're on. What do you put that down to?
Yes, to keep the nerves, even if there is sometimes a setback. I was in this league during the festive period. Yes, when the games are coming thick and fast, it could be if you play 45 minutes in underload, you lose sometimes the game. Or at West Brom, even at West Brom, we dominated against West Brom, a side who was sitting next to us on the table in a away game, 70% possession. And we were the side who invested the most on the whole game day. From all 24 teams on this game day, no other team invested more in high-speed running, in sprints. I liked our mentality there. The only problem was 2 clear penalties were denied in this game. Was a away game, yeah. And yeah, they had one chance and were able to score out of this. In this moment, it's important that you're not driven by your emotions and you're too down because you lost the game. It's more important than to say, come on, it's a championship. There is no VAR. Sometimes you have to accept you lose a game and even the opponent can't really explain how they won this game. You just have to keep going. But I think even there, I like the mentality of my players, and I was so sure that we would bounce back after this loss, and that's what we did, especially in the last 5 games. Yes, but season's not over. We want to keep going.
Thank you.
Daniel, when you mentioned to Graham about changing the flow of the second half, how important is skill and how difficult is it for players to sense when the moment is to sit back and then to push forward?
It's a bit easier for teams who are used to win titles and have many experienced players on the pitch and are together already since a few years, perhaps even with their coach, because if you have a look which team wins titles, which team wins the Champions League, which team wins a Premier League title or whatever in the Bundesliga the title, it's quite often an experienced side who is there with maturity. If I have a look on our starting lineup with many young players in crucial positions, Archie Gray, 17 years old, Ethan Ampadu, sometimes we forget that he's still in his early 20s. Ilya Gruev, more or less still his first steps in football. Georgi Rutter, 21. Chris Summerville, 21 or 22 meanwhile. We have many young lads on the pitch, and one of the youngest starting lineups in the whole championship. And it's difficult then. We speak a lot about this game management skills, about the soft skills, and but you also need to feel it on the pitch. And I think when I compare our game management and also how we react to difficult situations right now in January, when I compare this in what we did when I walked in July or the early August, it's completely different level, and I'm pretty pleased, especially also with the soft skills and this game management skills at the moment. We are not the finished end product, and we have still many players who need to mature a bit and need to grow up, but it's just due to their age, and we have a young group. And we like also to work with this young group. We still have also quality, and at the moment we are developing definitely into a pretty good side, and also we are developing into the right direction.
And we spoke to Junior Firpo before. It's becoming such a ever more short-term game. How pleased are you with the patience he's shown to obviously get himself fit and try and nail down a place in the team?
First of all, I had to be patient because I had to wait for 5 months till he came back. But it's important that he worked really disciplined and professional during his rehab, and then he always had different injury setbacks and never lost also the belief in himself and his body. And we are all happy that he's back right now since 4.5 weeks, and also has grown into each and every into our side, because he's one of the players who have experienced already a lot during his playing times, and he's a more mature and experienced player. And to have also this type of players in our squad is also quite crucial. And he has chipped in with many assists already in the last games today, with defensive solidity against also a player Rowe, who has scored I think 12 goals already during the season. So it was important that he was there with pretty much with defensive steel today as well, and I'm pretty pleased that we have him back, also on the way back to his best shape.
Thank you. Okay. Thanks everyone.
Good.
Thanks, Daniel.
Thank you.